Oh, hello. Good evening to you. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Aniyusab at Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, GSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Tonight, President John Dramani Mahama names 10 regional ministers designate out of 16 regions. We ask, who are these men and women? We seek to get all the details in this package and in fact, understand how the grounds are reacting to these nominations. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Also, in search for lasting peace in Boko and surrounding towns in the Upper East region, where lies the solution as President John Dramani Mahama commits to prioritize peace in the area. We have a conversation on this. He is spending some time in that area. Also, we track the progress of some cold cases on the Office of the Special Prosecutor's half-year report to see how far the office has really come over the period. And as we speak, the public reaction to it, to the extent that there's been no convictions since the office was established, has generated some conversation about it. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is GhanaTonight on Facebook and on X. As always, let's get the conversation going. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
President John Mahama's administration has written to Parliament seeking approval for 10 regional ministers. A letter to the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, details and portfolios the nominees for these positions. The President has also said he will name his nominees for the security sectors within the week. President Mahama has also reaffirmed the commitment to resolving the protracted conflict in Boku. Speaking at the Zugran Palace at Boku, after meeting the Boku Naba this afternoon, the President told chiefs from the Kusaug traditional area to exercise restraint and cooperate with all stakeholders for lasting peace and development.
When I was President, Boku and surrounding areas were very peaceful. And work was going on, people were going about their duties. It's sad that this situation has occurred again. And I know that for the last 3 years, you have not been able to sleep. You've been living under stress. And so the priority of our government will be to bring peace back to Boko so that everybody can go about his duties without fear of harassment.
Governance expert Professor Bafo Ajimandua has described the vetting of the 3 ministerial nominees on Monday by the Appointments Committee as successful. He's, however, advising the chairman of the committee to properly regulate the process to ensure Ghanaians get the best out of the nominees.
I think when you are doing this kind of work, there might be some measurement. All of them should respect their own rules and procedures. For instance, if you are given one question to ask, you don't try to do 2 or 3 or 4 and insist on other things. This is a very important national exercise. It's not an arena for showboating or grandstanding. I think it's a serious business.
The Public Utilities Workers Union, PU, is kicking against government's proposed move to privatize the Electricity Company of Ghana. Leadership of PU are also calling for calm among their over 8,000 members who work for ECG. Meanwhile, the leadership says it is poised to engage government to offer alternatives to make ECG viable.
Privatizing ECG and selling it, as some people are saying, within 6 months we are selling it. I'm just very worried because our own brother is Honorable Anjanapo was saying that within the next 6 months or by 6 months we will sell ECG. Here is the case: you are you are undergoing vetting. You have not been approved. You have not sent a paper to the cabinet. You understand? Present a paper to cabinet to get cabinet approval. And you can now predetermine the time of sale. Do you have some people to buy? It means that have you predetermined? It's a whole thing. So, well, but we're also ready to engage in.
The Coalition for Proper Human Rights says it disagrees with President John Mahama's statement that the anti-LGBTQ bill has expired and must be passed again by the current parliament. President Mahama, in an interaction with the Catholic Bishops' Conference, requested Parliament to restart the legislation for the bill, adding that it must be reintroduced as a government bill. But the group has opposed his latest comments, warning against another attempt to frustrate the passage of the bill.
At least 5 times I heard the president saying he will assent to this bill, which meant that in its current state, it was clear that what it constituted was sufficient for it to be passed. We should not begin to raise issues which seem to mean that not enough people were supporting it. I think that would be taking us down a trajectory which would seem to imply that he's shifting goalposts and doesn't want to pass the bill.
There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up tonight, in search for lasting peace in Boko and surrounding towns in the Upper East region, where lies the solution as President John Dramani Mahama commits to prioritizing peace in the area. We have a conversation for you on this latest one, and this is on the back of the trip that President John Mahama made to the area earlier today. And even before that, he met with the security couples to get a clear idea and a briefing of the situation there. But let's begin on this path, because in the Upper East region, President John Dramani Mahama spent significant time earlier today committing to resolving the protracted conflict in the Boko area. Speaking at the Zograng Palace at Boko, after meeting in the Boko Naba earlier today, the president told the chiefs from the Kosol traditional area to exercise restraint and cooperate with all stakeholders for lasting peace and development in the area. We're going to hear from him shortly, because he announced his administration's immediate plans to strengthen security leadership by appointing some key heads of the security sectors by close of the week, that's next week. He emphasized that resolving the Boko conflict will be a top priority for these appointees. Take a look.
We want to assure you that we're putting in place the various appointments so that we can have ministers and other officials who are responsible for the security to take charge. And so within this week, we will do the appointments of the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, the National Security Advisor, the National Security Coordinator, the BNI Director, and all the others. And when these appointments are made, I'm going to charge them to make Boko one of the #1 priorities that they attend and deal with.
Well, so that's the President John Dramani Mahama's assurance to the people in the Boko, specifically in the Upper East region. Now, Kaso Senyala is Upper East region correspondent. He's going to be joining us in a bit to have a conversation on this one as well. And we also have Dr. Michael Richmond Smatabe. He's a security and intelligence counterterrorism expert, also joining us on Zoom. Dr. Smatabe, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, my brother.
It's good to have
pleasure having me.
Indeed. Yes. I mean, we've seen the evolution of this particular Boko conflict over time, and the politics of it as well cannot be discounted. The dynamics, whenever either party is in power, I'm talking about MPP and NDC, cannot also be discounted. From where you sit, the president talks about the commitment to ensuring lasting peace in the area. What should be the major areas of consideration to achieve this objective?
Sure. Let me first and foremost congratulate His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, for his victory in this year's election and the peaceful transition to which we've seen him ascend to the highest throne of the state as the President of the Republic. And I must also commend him for his desire and burning desire to resolve the Boku conflict, which, if not resolved, could pose a security threat against the territorial integrity of Ghana. So for him to take such a bold step means that he has really assumed the status of what? The Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces and the President of the Republic. So it's a good idea, it's a good step, and I believe that as it is, this issue of Boku conflict, like you said, and like you mentioned, has some political antecedents. It also has some historical antecedents tracing from the Republican days. But to it, what it means is that anytime, if you pick intelligence on the ground, anytime there is conflict in that region, it has to do with the leadership of, how do you call it, the MPP government. So I'm tracing the political antecedent, and it's always been the commitment of the National Democratic Congress Party to resolve the Boku conflict. So we've seen it from ages, as and when it erupts and as and when it is resolved. But what it is that when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. And for which reason the territorial integrity of Ghana matters most when it comes to these issues, because the jurisdiction of this conflict, it's around our borders in the northern sector. And we can also attest to the fact that there is these jihadist activities within the Sahel region. And we've also heard from intelligence that at one point in time, some of these jihadists could enter Ghana and then move out of Ghana to refuel and then re-strategize and whatsoever. So what it means is that this resolution, this conflict resolution is necessary, because if not, we cannot protect the borders in the north, and that could pose a threat. When I say we cannot protect the borders in the north, doesn't mean that the police or the security probably apparatus are not up to the task. But it takes the people themselves to give the security apparatus, how do you call it, the information, the intelligence, the information to be able to know what to do when they come there to work and to protect the territorial integrity of the country in the northern regions. So if they are fighting and they don't want to get the understanding that it takes peace and unity to be united as one people, then these challenges of terrorism activities could probably be directed towards our country, because what it means is that we've seen what has happened in Burkina Faso recently and in most recent times, where jihadists have attacked, even when the military junta is at post. They've experienced some certain level of jihadist attacks. And what has happened is that jihadists attacked in the northern, how do you call it, Mali and probably the Sahel region, is now ascending. It is ascending because pockets of Boko Haram fighters, pockets of Islamic State of West African Province fighters, pockets of Ansar fighters, pockets of Janim Nusrat al-Islam wa Muslimin, that has configured all these terrorist regimes to one unit. and they are attacking bases within these Sahel regions to which Burkina Faso is part. So it is necessary for the president to take steps to make sure that this conflict is resolved. Because if this conflict is not resolved, I can tell you that the challenges of tourism activities will be fighting instead of the Boku conflict. What I'm trying to insinuate is that because of Ghana's mediation in the Sahel conflict, yes, I know for sure, and as a security intelligence expert, that for some time now, we are not in the good books of the Sahel leaders because of the role we played in trying to coerce the ECOWAS to send, how do you call it, a military intervention in the Sahel region.
So essentially, the fundamental point that you make here is that in the midst of all what is happening right now and the assurance by President John Dramani Mahama to ensure lasting peace is brought and restored to Boko, the people themselves have an integral role to play in this objective being achieved, the objective of the president as stated today.
Absolutely. So that's why President John Mahama, as a charismatic leader, and most probably, undoubtedly, the most charismatic figure in Ghana today, can use his charisma, can use his demeanor, can use his mediation to be able to bring these people together. Because as we speak, we all know where the truth lies. But we sometimes we hide behind political expediencies to make arguments whatsoever. Because since we had the Boku Naba as probably the chief
and that's where, you know, there will obviously be some divergent views and opinions on this matter. And as you have indicated, the president going there to engage the chiefs and people there to have them commit to peace. It's also it's integral. And talk about the people. This is where I bring in Upper East Regional correspondent Castro Senyala. Castro, now you are there in the Upper East region. You were earlier in Boko today, interacted with the people there. What are the sentiments being expressed by the people about the president's visit and that commitment to bring lasting peace in the area?
Right, Alfred. First of all, when word got out that the president was visiting the Upper East region and by extension the Boku Naba today, I mean, there was a conversation on social media that generally painted the picture that if President Mahama goes to see the Boku Naba without going to see the Nairi, a section of the people in Boko wouldn't be happy. And if you understand the conflict very well, you realize that one section or one faction of the conflict traces to the Nairi in the northeast region. And so there have been mixed reactions, although the generality of the expectations are that from both sides, they are looking forward to, a resolution of the conflict because they've all suffered fatalities and lost a lot of properties and all that. And so the expectations is that, yes, if this government led by President John Dramani Mahama is coming to resolve the issue, it is welcome, except that if sides will be taken in his mediation efforts, then that is where the problem is. I have a text message that I got on Facebook where somebody categorically told me that, Castro, if the president comes to visit Boku Naba without going to visit the Nairi, we will not agree. Yes, I tried to engage the person, but the person was just there in my inbox to tell me straightforward what he felt or what he thought should be the issue and all that. So, Alfred, yes, as for the resolution of the conflict, the people are looking forward. They are happy. The people of Boko, as I've always been stating in my reports, are not really happy about what is happening. They are losing lives. They are losing properties, and they are looking forward to the resolution that will be brought by this government. But the conversation is that, or the concerns of these people is on both sides, is that the president or the government, this current government, should mediate in a neutral way and shouldn't take sides. And that is what the concern has been in the Upper East region. And we're looking forward indeed to seeing that the government is able to go between the two sides and then resolve this issue. And so, Alfred, quickly, and I think the government has also taken note of that, and that is why the president, first of all, visited the Boku Naba and then further went to visit the Nairi. And I think that is exactly what the people have been saying and expected the president.
And that satisfies, you know, the expectations of both sides, is it not? In this entire conflict. And so, yes, that visit by the president to both sides then ticks the first box that the gentleman you say who reached out to you was expecting. Now, these people have been living in that dusk to dawn curfew for only God knows how long. How have they been reacting to this possibility of some peace coming in and their role in this objective being achieved? Very quickly, before we go into the Northeast region.
Yes, so Alfred, the concerns of the people of Boko for now is that, look, the highways which have become, should I say, deadly zones should be protected at all costs. For the people of Boko, for instance, I mean, Boko from Mankung to Bolgatanga Road, the highway has become very deadly, and so they want, a lot of security agencies, personnel on that road. As for the issue of the highways, Alfred, I've been reporting on the Boko issue for some time now, and I can say that, look, the concerns are that the highways need to be protected. Boko Mankung Bolga Road highway needs to be protected. Same way, the Bolgatanga Tamale Walwale highway, the people say that they should protect that. And Alfred, I can report that once that is done and the needless lives that are being lost on that highway is being contained, the resolution will take a very good path, because most of the troubles we are getting right now, in as far as this conflict is concerned, come from the highways where the killings are done. The military, that is the police, and then the military and the police have managed to, be everywhere within the Boko township where usually the problems are. And so these gangs that usually carry out these attacks have taken note of that and are usually in their numbers on the highways. And so from both sides, the calls are that they should increase the numbers of security agencies on the highways.
And you talk about the highway security, and that leads us to the next issue, because earlier you mentioned that this conflict in Boko in the Upper East region has spilled over to the Northeast region. And a number of the spillover effects we see is on the attacks on the highway. Earlier, you reported that some unknown gunmen attacked and set ablaze a Kia Rhino truck in Wale Wale earlier today. And we have a video of that truck that was set ablaze. We're going to put it on the screen right now. This truck, per the information that we got, was loaded with pepper en route to Mognori in the Boko municipality to Kumasi. Now, tell us the latest on this particular incident and what we've gathered so far.
Alfred, before I even come to that, there was an attack, an earlier attack in Pusinamo where bars came under the attack of gunmen. We understand that a lot of people were killed. I've actually been to the scene. I went to the scene the next day, and you could see blood stains on the road where a number of people were injured. I beg your pardon, not killed, were injured and were transported to the Upper East Regional Hospital where they've been treated. Now, today's incident adds to the growing concerns that, look, the highways need to be safe. And that is basically because they feel that the security agencies aren't doing much. And back to what Dr. Smart was saying, where he says that the people themselves have to play a role as far as ensuring peace is concerned. And so the people are saying that, yes, we are doing our best. We would like to remain calm wherever we are. But when we want to step out to go and do this, for instance, someone wants to move from the inner part of Boko to Bolgatanga to do something, he may be attacked. Someone is moving from Boko, the outer part of Boko, or let's say Zebila Binduri to Tamale, he also feels that he may be attacked on that way. And so, yes, the people say they would agree to peace. They would agree to ensure that this issue is resolved. But then, first of all, make sure that you increase the numbers of the soldiers and the policemen on the highways. Borga Boko Pronokon Highway, number 1. Borga Walewale Tamale Highway, number 2. Increase the presence of these people. And then we are able to ensure, we are sure that when we travel out, we wouldn't have issues. Because, Alfred, a quick one. Some of the issues, some of the biggest issues is that sometimes, from what I have been reporting and have been able to gather, yes, the people want to agree to, a peaceful resolution of the conflict. But then, when an attack happens, for instance, on one of the highways, it triggers and sends a signal to the other side where the attacks begin to happen.
I see.
In periods where we don't see attacks on one highway, the other highway is safe.
Right.
That's what is happening.
It's an interesting dynamic. It's an interesting angle you bring to the conversation.
Yes,
but what happened earlier today, what we've been showing on the screen, that attack on that truck that was carrying bags of pepper. That's what's on the screen right now. You see the sacks of pepper and the bucket of this truck the Kia Rhino, was set ablaze. Also on the same, another highway attack. This, we understand, prompted the deployment of the military in the area. What really happened?
Yes, so Alfred, sources within security agencies earlier on got in touch with me to draw my attention to the fact that there was an attack, and in fact the security agencies, that is the military, had responded. The police was also on standby to respond to the attack. Alfred, before I proceed quickly, because of these, reoccurring attacks on the highways, there have been a lot of military deployments, especially within the enclave of Walewale, all the way to Nasia and back to Palugu, and these military men and policemen usually patrol the highways both day and night. So this morning I got the information that there was an attack there. A Kia Rhino truck had been set ablaze. It was traveling from Boko and was set ablaze. But getting to the end of the day, another narrative came in saying that the problem had, the car had an electrical problem. But then I sent the video to a security analyst who told me that, Castro, look, if this car was, got the problem because it had an electric fault, you wouldn't see people riding motors passing by. We are human beings. These people should also stop and do something about it. And he also added that you could see in the videos that clearly some people were standing there, running around the vehicle, or walking around the vehicle, doing very little. So he felt that if indeed it was an electric fault, these people would have been doing something, at least fetching sun and throwing it onto the vehicle to see how they can douse the fire. But the fact that people were riding motorbikes looking unconcerned, he believes that it is attack. It was an attack. And that is exactly what I was told by my security sources.
But then again, the residents say that some of the military personnel who were deployed after this reported attack brutalized them. They beat them up. Now, you spoke to them. What did they tell you? Because we have a video on that.
Yes, actually, my colleague in the Northeast region did that. But then I also got in touch with some military personnel there who, said there were excesses. Usually when the military comes in, having heard about how other attacks there happened and how they were deadly, they came in and tried to contain the situation. And usually the military comes with full force whenever there's a need to. It's unfortunate that, yes, some people were brutalized and beaten, but when I spoke to my sources in the military, they told me that it was unfortunately excesses of their intervention. And so they think that, they are in to save the day, and if everything is good and well, then we thank God for that.
I see, but you spoke to these persons who gave you the information that the military personnel, some of them beat them up while they were responding to this call of the attack on this truck that we're talking about. Let's hear from the people that you spoke to, narrating exactly their ordeal, the alleged brutality on them. Take a look.
So somebody told us they would support our things and lock our room. So when the person said that, we also started packing our things inside our stores and was locking. So we saw the policemen just beating anyhow. Beating. Anybody I thought that they would beat to their big stick. So they beat her and they dealt with a small girl. The girl was running to park the motor aside and take speed. They stopped the girl, pulled the girl, beat the girl, and flooded the girl's phone and hit on it. They stole the phone. So finally, the girl have to run. And they didn't stop from there. From there, they continued sloping down there to town. They were just beating some old man from Jangum. They beat the man out terribly. It wasn't easy.
So we crashed and on the floor. I was receiving strokes of wires and then headings by a military men garment in their duty clothes. So their face marks up. None of them could be identified. They beat me mercilessly. In an attempt to even run, they were 3 in number. In an attempt to run, they told me if I should move an inch, they will shoot me. But that wasn't even my issue with the beating. But I had a motto that I don't know where to find it. The phone that got missing, where do I retrieve them from? My slippers that I ran, they didn't know where it was. If I had not even run for my life, I would have died because of this. So I pleading with the above to see to it that these policemen try to do investigative. Though what they told me, I wasn't satisfied. But I'm now pleading that stakeholders will come in and also help me to retrieve those my items. It is the motto that gives me means to offer the service I have in me to the mother Ghana.
After my afternoon shift to come so that I'll go to my work. So I was feeling like emptying my bowels. So on the way going to free myself, I was just asked to come and lie down with a group of soldiers. They asked me to come and lie down. So when I lie down, they started cleaning my back. So I got up to ask. They asked me to lie down again. So later on, they asked us to get up and run. So I ran, and later on, when I asked, they said they started beating people from that place to town. So I went home and bathed and came to work. And I just want to tell them this the way that we have been posted here by government. And they too, they have been posted here by government. If like they are going to continue be doing this, then they are not going to be solving the problems.
We are sitting in our base, NDC base, and then immediately we just saw a military man surrounding us. We don't know the reason. When they got here, now we should lie down. We should lie down, and then we don't, for the uniform we will respect them and then lie down. So we lie down. They just started caning us with no reason. We don't know what happens. I'm just coming from home with my food. I'm not eating the food yet. They killed me and then the food. Sir, we don't know why. So we need justice.
Yesterday, Anapano, Yabahuka, Yanda, higher office, Yanda, until a boss side, Yaya, salary, Obia Conisi. Until Yasu Yabaya, who say, Cassio, young Hunifi. Until Yankahu, young, Yadia, Nubi Biakra. So your phone will to say, no more.
Some of the residents in the Northeast region, specifically speaking to regional correspondent in the Northeast region, Solomon, there. But Castro, quickly before we go, clearly these residents quite concerned and livid about what happened today. And we're still knocking on the doors of the military to get some information. But you say that you tried getting some information from some of the military personnel there on the ground in the area. What did they tell you, briefly?
Yes, so Alfred, like I stated earlier on, because of my work, sometimes we relate so well. And so when there are issues and you give them a call, they are more than willing to provide you with some information. So when that happened, I quickly got in touch with some of them on the ground who told me, yes, they responded to, an issue and they had to contain the issue. And that was the technical word they used. They had to contain the issue, but then there were excesses. And, with them, having heard what had happened on that stretch and how bad and deadly it was important that they entered with full brute force to be able to quickly, contain the situation from getting worse. But then, yes, so that is what I got from sources within the military who sometimes confide in me and tell me what it is on the ground.
Right, and we're still waiting for that communication from the military on this particular issue, because this is one that has gone a number of concerns and members of the general public as well reacting to this, especially because it's not the first time we are seeing some of these excesses happening. But Kasho Senyela is our Pais regional correspondent. Kasho, stay with me because I'm going to get into the next issue. And Dr. Michael Richmond Smart Abbey is also a security intelligence and counterterrorism expert. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. But let's do a quick recall of what the President, John Dramani Mahama, said about the security appointments before the end of the week. And today is Tuesday, by the way. Just take a look at this.
We want to assure you that we're putting in place the various appointments so that we can have ministers and other officials who are responsible for the security to take charge. And so within this week, we will do the appointments of the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, the National Security Advisor, the National Security Coordinator, the BNI Director, and all the others. And when these appointments are made, I'm going to charge them to make Boko one of the #1 priorities that they attend and deal with.
Well, so President John Dramani Mahama giving us clear indication of what's going to be happening before the end of the week. The appointments to the security sector And he mentioned all of those, the National Security Coordinator, Interior Minister, Defense Minister, and all the other related portfolios within the security sector. Here are some of the names that you should look out for. And in fact, we're picking strong indications of it. The likely names that we'll be hearing before the end of the week with the security sector appointments that the president talks about. Prosper Douglas Kwekubani, a former chief of staff, John Mahama, was succeeded by now a chief of staff as well, who was also a chief of staff in the John Mahama first administration. That's Julius Debra. Prosper Bani served as chief of staff at some point, former interior minister at some point as well. He's a specialist in international peace building, former UN peace and development expert, obviously a politician, and it's one of the names that indeed were picking strong indications that by end of week we'll hear those appointments in the security sector with his name in there as well. Kofi Totobi Kwache strongly as well linked to one of many security sector appointments expected by end of week. Former National Security Minister, former Information Minister, in fact, it's the longest serving Information Minister we've seen as well, and a politician. And then we have Larry Bevlo-Latte, one that needs no introduction for the many who have been following the security matters, especially with the NDC, a retired military officer, a former National Security Coordinator, Evans Tamil's administration, is also a former retired military officer, a commanding officer, 64 Infantry Battalion. That's the Commandos Unit of the Ghana Armed Forces. He's also a private legal practitioner, the AU Chairperson, Special Representative in charge of counterterrorism and cooperation. In fact, during the election 2024, he was part of the NDC's security team and also for John Dramani Mahama. And just last week, he was named as part of 5 persons put together in the security committee that was announced by the President, John Dramani Mahama, as well. So it is indeed of no surprise that his name was come up strongly as one of likely persons to be announced by end of the week with the security sector appointments. Nathan Kofi Boachi as well, his name has come up quite strongly. Retired Commissioner of Police, Commander 1 as they call him affectionately, former Director General, Legal and Prosecution, the Ghana Police Service, at some point Ashanti Regional Police Commander, many other things that he's done in the Ghana Police Service. We cannot list them all, but also Lieutenant General Peter Augustine Blair, retired, former military officer, former Chief of Defense Staff of the Ghana Armed Forces, many other things that he's done in the Ghana Armed Forces as well. And then also another Brigadier General Husseini Idrisu, retired senior military officer, served at the Ghana Armed Forces in various capacities for several years, had an illustrious military career marked by dedication and exemplary service. These 5 names, let's look out for them. And by end of week, we'll see how things play out. But already strong signals that a number of these persons, by the end of the week, the announcement for the security sector, as has been already indicated by President John Dramani Mahama, some of these persons will be found featuring in there. But coming up next, talk about matters of appointment. Let's still stay the steam on it. This is coming up next here on Ghana Tonight. President John Dramani Mahama has named 10 regional ministers designate out of the 16 regions. We ask, who are these men and women? We seek to get all the details in this package for you here on Ghana Tonight. And in fact, you can only read so much about them when you get onto the internet. But there are people, our men on the ground, who know these people quite well. And President John Mahama earlier today submitted a list of 10 regional ministers designate to the Speaker of Parliament, awaiting parliamentary vetting and eventual approval. Here's what we do know. For the Ashanti region, Dr. Frank Amoakohen has been announced as the Ashanti Regional Minister Designate. A medical professional, youth leader with expertise in healthcare governance, public service, holds a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery from the University of Ghana, and also currently the Ashanti Regional Secretary for the NDC. And then also James Gunu, a veteran media practitioner, holds a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism and Master of Arts in Development as Communication, and a Master of Arts in Local Government, Administration and Organization as well, a former MC for the Akachi area, and currently also the regional secretary for the NDC in the Volta region. And then also talking about Mrs. Rita Ejay Awate, Eastern Regional Minister Designate, distinguished leader with a wealth of experience in governance and education, holds an MPhil in leadership from the University of Professional Studies here in Accra, and also the regional deputy women's organizer for the NDC in the Eastern region. Now, John Kojo Japong Oti, Regional Minister Designate, a business executive, former member of parliament for the Akan constituency, serves currently as the NDC Regional Chairman for the Oti region, holds a Bachelor of Science degree in education from the University of Cape Coast. And you'll see a trend that runs through a number of these persons who have been named today. They have all served or are still serving at the regional level for the NDC. And that's a theme or a chorus that you see running through a number of these 10 persons who have been named as regional ministers designate. Akamugri de Atanga holds a master's degree in human rights and Bachelor of Education degree in social studies. That's the Upper East Regional Minister Designate. Previously served as coordinator for the National School Feeding Program, presiding member for the Bongo District Assembly as well. And this man has a lot to his name, as we have seen in that's this particular region, that the Upper East region that we're talking about. Also, Ali Adolf John is a Northern Regional Minister Designate, and also Ali John is a regional chairman of the NDC for the Northern region, and then also the former Saboba DCE, as well as many other things that we have seen attached to his name. Madam Charity Gardner Ahafo, Regional Minister Designate, a businesswoman, human resource professional with close to a decade of experience. She has strong credentials in non-profit humanitarian works and also holds a master's degree in human resources management. And Salisu Bia Awuribi, and a law lecturer, evaluation professional and development expert, Savannah Regional Minister Designate. And that also he has previously served as a district chief executive for the Central Gonja District. That's the man that we're talking about as well. And the Greater Accra Regional Minister Designate is the member of parliament for the Shayok Osudoku constituency in this ninth parliament, holds a Bachelor of Arts, that's a Bachelor of Science degree in Administration, Banking and Finance from the University of Ghana, Legon. And then also Mr. Ibrahim Tia, the Northeast Regional Minister Designate. It's a public health and also finance and local government professional with expertise in systems management, public relations, and health financing, and many other things. In fact, a senior staff of the NIA, and that's the National Health Insurance Authority, some point. And then also, he is the Northeast Regional Secretary for the NDC. So as I indicated to you, a number of these persons are serving at the regional level for the NDC as we speak. And William Evans Inkom is our Northern Bureau Chief. He's connecting with us on Zoom right now. So Inkom, appreciate your time. Now for the Ashanti region, very interesting we're seeing Dr. Mwakohene's name come up, because prior to today, a number of names had been postulated. And as we speak, we didn't see any of them. What's been the reaction so far?
Of course, I mean, Dr. Mwakohene is somebody who has really carved a niche for himself as far as grassroots politics of the NDC is concerned. In 2020, he was the parliamentary candidate on the ticket of the NDC in the Mampong constituency. Of course, before the 2024 parliamentary election, he was holding the highest in terms of nominal figures and percentage for the NPP, for the NDC since 1996. Of course, Yakubu Isifu, if in 2020 he had nominal figures about 14,000, translating into 27% of vote share as far as parliamentary election is concerned. 2024, Yakubu Isifu had 15,000, which translates to about 35% of vote share in the Ashanti region. So as far as Mampong constituency is concerned. So before the 2024 election, he was holding the highest in terms of nominal figures, and of course, percentage-wise in terms of parliamentary election in the Mampo constituency for the NDC. Then in 2022, he became the Ashanti Regional Secretary of the ruling National Democratic Congress. Of course, I mean, since his reign, you see some level of harmony among the rank and file of the NDC in the Ashanti region, working very closely with the Ashanti Regional Chairman. And some believe that his close ties with the Ashanti Regional Chairman saw the NDC perform so well in the Ashanti region, because never in the history of the political terrain has the NDC been able to secure 7 seats, and not just mere seats, but even invading some of the strong constituencies of the ruling party and even snatching them. So here you can talk about the Adanse Asokwa constituency, where he and Nana Kwesi did a lot of work as far as that Katie Hammond's constituency is concerned. Then, of course, Afano Southwest constituency, where they've won for the very first time. And then, of course, a Proform constituency. Being able to even maintain the 4 and adding 3 to what they had already, I mean, it tells you that indeed it was just a dent of hard work. And to many, they believe that he has been rewarded. And I can tell you that he has the blessing of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the party, Alfred.
Interesting stuff there. And then you talk about the work in the Adanse Asokwa constituency, one of the highlights of this 2024 election in the Ashanti region. But generally, how has the reaction been within the NDC and the Ashanti region generally, before we go quickly?
Well, ecstatic. I mean, Dr. Amwakwehine is very cool with each and every person as far as the NDC is concerned. I've seen avalanche of congratulatory messages coming from the rank and file of the party and then the grassroots. So it tells you that indeed, I mean, he lives in harmony with every single person as far as the NDC in the Ashanti region is concerned. And
Christopher Amwako also is our Northern and Savannah regional correspondent. He's joining us on Zoom as well. Chris, now for the nominations for the region, specifically the Northern region, this is a man who is a regional minister, the Northern regional chair of the NDC and served in various capacities as well. How's the reactions been since his announcement as a regional minister designate by the president?
Yes, Alfred, I must say that if you come to the Northern region, Ali Adolf is a household name for people in the region, because since coming into the political limelight and also becoming a regional chairman of the party, has been doing marvelously well for his party in the region. And so he's one person that if you come to the Northern region and you want to do politics, he's a name that you cannot do without. And so people have been sending in their congratulatory messages and also calling and giving the indication that they really support the president's nomination and that they are going to support Ali Adolf to succeed as the incoming Northern Regional Minister, Alfred.
Great stuff. And let's go to the Upper East region. And Christopher Mwako, Upper East regional correspondent, is connecting with us again. Chris, Akamugri Donatus Atanga, one that really goes without any further. Unfortunately, we lost Castro on Zoom. But let's stay with the Savannah region now as well. For the Savannah region, the nominee there, for you, Chris, you've been interacting with the people there as well. How's the reaction been?
Yes, Alfred, let me say that Salisu Biaurbe, like Adolf Ali, is also a household there. Before becoming the Savannah Regional Chairman, he was the Northern Regional Chairman, you know, before the creation of the Savannah and of East regions out of the Northern region. Biaurebe Salisu was the Northern Regional Chairman. And so when the Savannah region was created, automatically he became the Savannah Regional Chairman of the NDC. And he's been marvelous. He's been doing very well in the region, ensuring that the party gets its feet. But he's part of the success that the NDC chalked in the Savannah region, winning more seats. As it stands now, out of the 7 constituencies in the Savannah region. NDC is holding on to 6, and MPP is only holding on to the Damango constituency. And so Salisu Biawere's appointment did not come as a surprise. Nomination did not come as a surprise to many people in the Savannah region. And like I said earlier, for the northern region, in the Savannah region as well, people are congratulating him and also giving the indication that they are going to support him to succeed because he's someone who has served in a higher position before as the district chief executive for the Central Gonja district. And so he's on top of his game, and people believe that he will perform if given the opportunity and if vetted by Parliament.
Thank you very much, Christopher Mwakon for Savannah region and the North region. Salisu Biawere, former DC for Central Gonja district between 2009 and 2013, North Regional Secretary for the NDC in 2013, Savannah Regional Secretary 2019, so private legal practitioner, conflict mediation expert as well. This is Ghana Tonight. We're back shortly after this quick break with some more on this. Stay with us. Now, coming up next year on Ghana Tonight, we track the progress of some cold cases on the table of the Office of Special Prosecutors half-year report to see how far, really, the office has come. And this is going to be the first of a three-part analysis of this half-year report by the Special Prosecutor. Dennis Pabewa Esquire is here with me. Now, Dennis, what we do know is that there's been no convictions since the establishment of the OSP.
Not yet.
But there's some very important detail in there for the first part. What do we know?
Well, so it's important to start by saying that the OSP is mandated every year to give us 2 reports, and that is to update the public on the work that he's done by way of investigations, by way of prosecutions, convictions and acquittals, if any, and any other thing that he's been working on. So we just received the report for the end of year, December 2024. So what we are looking at today would be end of year, 31st December 2024. And just by way of highlights, you can find this on the OSP website. They talk about 179 complaints received. They are on 3 prosecutions. They have over 3 million recovered. That's 3 million Ghana cedis recovered. They have 135 million plus savings. That's in terms of money. They also have over 283 million Ghana cedis suspended transactions and over 6 million people sensitized. That's just by way of highlights on the OSP website. But we have decided to go back in time so that we are able to track some of the key cases that this particular special prosecutor, and I mean Kissi Agyebeng, took over from the former special prosecutor.
Yeah.
So we are able to tell whether such cases have been able to make any progress or not. So when you look at a case like the Republic versus Mahama Ayariga, this was a case that was inherited from the former special prosecutor. Yes. And this was a matter in which the Honorable Member of Parliament for Bawku Central, together with some other persons, were charged with corruption and corruption-related offences. In fact, this particular case had two legs. In one of the legs, they were discharged and acquitted, but in one of the legs, so it's because of a two-leg case, in one instance, they were discharged and acquitted, and then in other one, the new special prosecutor thought that there was not much to pursue that matter. So he discontinued the case in that particular one.
I see.
But when you look at it, in 2022, when Kissi Agyebeng issued his first report, which covered the period between 5th August 2021, when he assumed office, to August 2022, he indicated that there was an ongoing investigation in respect of that matter.
I see.
Now, what we do know in respect of that case, like I mentioned, is that the accused persons acquitted in charge in one case, and the case discontinued in the other.
I see.
Now, when you look at the case involving the former PPA boss, that is in respect of contract for sale, a very famous scandal. At the time that this particular OSP took over from the previous, the status of that case was ongoing prosecutions.
Right.
What we do know now, that there's still an ongoing prosecution. This case is at the case management conference stage. What it means is that it has not even gone to trial yet.
I see. All this while?
Yes, and this is in the space of 3 years.
Interesting.
Another case is the Alexander Kobna Safo Kantanka. This has to do with other issues of corruption in relation to elections.
The bribery issue?
The bribery issues. As at the time, it was ongoing in prosecution. What we do know now that the prosecution is still ongoing and that judgment is expected on January 20, 2025. That's just in a few days away. And this, they've explained why the judgment was supposed to be given somewhere in December last year, but it has now been moved to this because there were some transfers in respect of the judge who was sitting on this. A new judge has to come and take over, but that's, they always be expecting that this judgment will be given on January 20. The Airbus scandal. At the time of taking over, the status of that was that there was an ongoing investigation. What we do know, by August 2024, this case had been closed. The OSP said there was little for him to proceed with any prosecutions. We also have the case of the banking and financial sector crisis. In some instances, you see that this has been captured at the Bank of Ghana and in varied forms. However, it is important to state that from the time that the OSP took over this case, it was ongoing investigation. What we still find in this particular report as of today is that there's still an ongoing prosecution. You do not find any significant information by way of progress over the years. You also have a case of a recruitment of cadet officers training at the Ghana Police Academy. Sometimes they capture this at the Ghana Police case. Ongoing investigation. We are now told that investigations are being concluded, that the special prosecutor in the coming days will issue further directives and action as to how to proceed. It's important to state that this is not the first time this has been stated in a report. The report that came before this particular one, which was for the first half of 2004, had it that the status of that particular case was to the effect that the case had been concluded and then the special prosecutor was expected to issue directives for the next line of action. But that is yet to happen. We also have another case that suffers the same fate. Now, you do recall the estate of Kwajo Owusu Efriye.
You mean Sir John?
Sir John.
Okay.
The estate of Sir John. That has been a subject of investigation from 2022, and we are still told that this particular matter is on the table of the OSP, is still under investigation.
No, what's the status of that? It says no significant information by way of progress.
Yes. So that is to suggest that since 2022, what we keep seeing is that it's always ongoing investigation. So when you flip through all the reports, mind you, 2 reports every year, from 2022 to 2025, that's about 6 of them.
Yes.
You find ongoing investigation on each of them.
Being the status.
So that's what it means. It's indicated as no significant information by way of progress over the years. You also have the case of the Northern Development Authority. This case has moved from ongoing investigation to ongoing prosecution. Now, trial continues from January 20 to 2025. This is happening at the Tamale High Court. So these are cases that have sat on the books of the OSP for quite some time, and that's why we call them cold cases, or rather they're getting cold. Yeah. But these are cases that some were inherited from the former special prosecutor, and it's important we know how far they have come. So this is just by way of update, by way of the cases that came all the way from 2024. But it's also important to indicate, Alfred, that every now and then, more cases keep coming in, and as of now, beyond the 16 cases that the OSP is pursuing or ongoing investigations, there are well over 179 more that he's still having to deal with. So there's a lot on his table.
A lot on his table indeed. And Dennis Poveri Wadama Squad, this is just the first part of it. We'll stay with the team tomorrow as well here on Ghana Tonight. But I want to say thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Alfred Okansi. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.